The past few weeks I've been able to fully immerse myself in Bloodborne's world of Yharnam, a cruel, unforgiving city that contains dark secrets only the strongest of adventurers can unearth and conquer. Join me as I look back on the countless battles and discoveries to evaluate what I think of Sony's biggest exclusive of the year. The story of Bloodborne sets off in a gothic, grim Victorian city known as Yharnam. You embody a foreigner who awakens in a bloody clinic, unarmed and confused as to your reason being there. You eventually make your way through the clinic to only end up facing a preoccupied werewolf creature who notices you and proceeds to maul your face off. This is where Bloodborne makes two things clear. One, you will die. A lot. And two, this is just the beginning of what kind of horrible monsters you can expect to see in your extended stay at what I like to call Tombstone City. Anyways, after your encounter with Balto, you will be sent to a place known as the Hunter's Dream, which will function as your home base for the entirety of the game. Here, you discover an elderly hunter known as Gurman.
Well, you've come to the right place.
Who tells you that you are a hunter. And what do hunters do best? That's right, you're hunting beasts. For the remainder of the game, it's your job to find and kill anything that looks like it came out of R.L. Stine's fever dream. No questions asked. And why? I still really haven't figured that out yet. But that's the charm of this game's unique setup. Bloodborne's story is very deep and rich with juicy lore that covers several side characters and factions. However, the catch is a format that requires the player to take initiative and hunt down the chunks of story themselves, through talking to NPCs or reading through item descriptions. This presentation of the plot helps to add to the dark mystery that will consume hours upon hours of wading through the blood-soaked streets of Yharnam to solve. Gameplay is easily the most enjoyable and frustrating aspect of Bloodborne. Bloodborne plays sort of similar to From Software's Souls series that some are familiar with, but on crack. Quick reflexes and an astute memory are your keys to survival, and the smallest mistake can be lethal. A grin can change to a face of utter defeat in a matter of a second. Try to be too greedy with your attacks and you'll end up regretting it. But that doesn't mean that combat is completely against us. Bloodborne implements a new system that gives you the chance to regain lost health after an enemy has damaged you by wailing the hell out of them, which really shows that the best defense is a good offense. One of the biggest changes is the addition of firearms, which replaces shields in Bloodborne. These are best used to interrupt enemy attacks and for well-timed parries that set up pretty nasty visceral attacks. Like, holy shit! The other big addition is trick weapons. The coolest fucking thing ever. It allows you to transform your weapons into longer or more powerful versions of themselves. A sword can become a massive hammer that smashes enemies to dust, or a sword that transforms into a giant scythe. Bloodborne is hard. Now, if it's harder than previous From Software titles is still up for debate, but the fact is you need to be prepared to lose your cool. There will be several "what the fuck" and "how the hell did he hit me" for my entire health bar moments. This can be frustrating and sometimes depressing, but it gives Bloodborne its strongest appeal, the sense of accomplishment and triumph after clearing a hard boss or area. If you're looking for a game that has smooth controls and tight mechanics, then Bloodborne has them in spades. Just be forewarned, it won't be a walk in the park, more like an uphill crawl through hell. Bloodborne shines the brightest while looking at its incredibly detailed environments that forces you to stop and gawk at its strangely beautiful vistas. Each enemy looks like it was crafted from pure nightmare fuel, with animations that enhance the horror of each beast by tenfold. The amount of originality and design towards every monster is astounding. However, these gorgeous graphics do come with a price, the main one being the constant frame rate dips whenever entering larger areas. And the second annoyance is the insanely long loading times, which in a game like Bloodborne can be almost rage-inducing. But it's hard to complain when you get to shred through enemies while watching your character bathe in their blood. The HUD and menus are also very appealing while not being too intrusive or cumbersome. And for a game like this, that's a pretty big plus. Bloodborne uses its impressive visuals not only to grab your attention, but also to motivate you to fight onwards to discover the next amazing venue. It mesmerizes and enchants you to want to continue exploring and finding every nook and cranny just to see what kind of new gothic architecture you can uncover. Frozen castles, dark forests, and cobblestone streets await you along with the gruesome creations that were fabricated from the most sinister of minds. This is truly how a next-gen game should look.
And so the nightly hunt begins.
The sound design of Bloodborne is top-notch, delivering intense noises of slashing, ripping, and eviscerating pounds of flesh and meat. This is accompanied with mechanical shifts and clanks made by the robust weapons that give them an authentic feel. Audio cues also help to keep you alive and inform you of opportunities to inflict heavy damage to your enemies. Now, the soundtrack of Bloodborne may be one of the best video game soundtracks in the past few years to be released. It blends several musical inspirations from choir chanting and a variety of classical instruments to provide a very atmospheric experience. This coincides with the gameplay perfectly and creates moments of epicness within Bloodborne, while also adding a creepy tone to the slower areas of the game. This may honestly be one of the few video game soundtracks I would like to own and listen to on my own free time. It's really just that good. Bloodborne utilizes a very unique multiplayer template that has only been seen in other FromSoft titles. This system isn't just about connecting players to each other, but also using a note system that allows fellow hunters to leave helpful hints and messages on the ground for others to read. However, there can be a stench of deceit on these notes, so be warned. Along with the note system, you will also be able to see the deaths of other players. But it isn't as useful as it seems due to the fact you can't really see what is actually dealing the killing blows. Instead, you'll see the specter convolting around before finally falling to the ground. The most exciting feature, however, has to be the ability to summon a friend to help you fight through a portion of the level, usually ending with a boss fight. However, this is the feature that irritates me the most with Bloodborne. Instead of inviting someone through the PS4 interface, you either have to summon a random player or use a password to link up with your friends. But expect these wait times to usually last in the upwards of 10 minutes due to network compatibility issues with From Software's netcode. The best word to describe this would be inconsistent. Now look, I get it, From Software. You like this ambiguous system for your single player to blend nicely with the gameplay atmosphere and tone. Yeah, I get it. But why in all that is holy did you bring this garbage to Chalice Dungeons? There is nothing more frustrating than waiting 5 minutes to find a friend in a chalice dungeon and spend 30 minutes going through the entire dungeon, only to have to do it all over again for whoever wasn't the host of the summoning. And depending on the amount of friends you have playing, that could be repeated 3 times. This problem could easily be solved by implementing a lobby system just for the chalice dungeons, eliminating the need to walk around with a bell for 20 minutes just to connect with your friends. Now to clarify, the chalice dungeons are a side activity in the game that presents you with procedurally generated dungeons that hold exclusive great items. These are fun and fresh, but again are dragged so far down by the overly cumbersome bell system. There is also a PvP component in place, but unfortunately through my playthrough was not once invaded in my world, so I was unable to experience this feature of the game. In closing, the online functionality of Bloodborne is unique and innovative, but falls short on some aspects due to its network limitations and awkward online infrastructure for chalice dungeons. This infuriates me so much because of how much I love every other aspect of this game. Although I will add that there is no better feeling than you and a buddy finally teaming up to take down a challenge neither of you could overcome alone. So, all in all, I have to say, Bloodborne is the best game I've played in 2015. Hell, maybe even better than anything in 2014. This is the #1 reason to own a PS4, and in my personal opinion, is the best software on the console to date. If you enjoy a game with a bit of a challenge and tons of atmosphere, then Bloodborne will not leave you disappointed. Hey, thanks for watching all my little homies out there. If you liked what you saw, then just click that subscribe button for more viewing goodness. Also, special thanks to Alex Rowe for some of the music used from the album Born in Blood. Check it out, link will be in the description below.